big time believable, to the point that it was almost uncomfortable for me, but I believed it every second of it.
Well, that story is a true story as well, and
Yes,
it was
I think I remember that.
Yeah, it was adapted into a book, and then from the book into a film. And so the film is slightly different to what really went on, and even in the book there's so much more in the book, and it's kind of at times a lot more graphic, but couldn't fit all of that into a 2-hour film.
This is a typical question, but is there a portion of the film that you were very much in love with, that worked, at least from your performance standpoint, that didn't get into Jane's final cut, that may show up, in an extended version? It's the old DVD question.
Yeah, good question. I'm trying to think of if there was.
Or was it one of those really tight scripts that you knew exactly?
It was a pretty tight script, and there is a few things that she's taken out, but the tweaks that she made are perfect. I saw a rough cut of the film when I went to do my additional dialogue recording, and
when was that? When did you see it?
I saw the rough cut. It would have been like maybe 10 months ago, but it was all time coded, and it hadn't been properly mixed sound wise and color wise and everything, and so it was a bit strange to watch because people had numbers on their heads and things. But from that edit to the edit that I saw in Cannes at the Cannes Film Festival, Jane had taken out probably 3 to 4 minutes, like just little seconds here and there. And I could really tell it was like she'd just gone in and just, tightened up the edges and just, it made such a difference. It was really crazy.
She didn't have you wear, or maybe she did, have you wear authentic undergarments, everything. Did you do that?
Yeah,
yes.
It was pretty full on.
With some discomfort? Or
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I had so many layers on, it felt out of control, because apart from the stockings and the corset and then the petticoat, I then had like
now the corset, we're talking about something that you pull strings to tighten the, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't a full, from the rear, and it wasn't a full corset, it was only a corset, because the full ones go all the way to the hip, so this one only went to the waist.
Okay.
So it's a little easier to deal with, but still it restricts here, which sometimes is not so much fun when you're, having to do a whole nother accent. And
do you know why corsets were worn back then?
Fashion, for... Was it
a metaphor for being chaste?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I think it began as like it was like fashion, and I think I'm just, shooting the breeze here. But definitely when you look back into the Elizabethan days, the Queen, and to be, it was such that shape, you know what I mean? And it was like striving to get this smaller and smaller and smaller, and this.
I guess my thought is, I'm wondering if there isn't some metaphor in all those layers as a way of saying that this woman is well protected. She's not easily accessible.
Yeah.
We're taking the whole thing of being chaste seriously.
Yeah.
And something like that.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. But I know with my costumes, they were a little more relaxed because I did Elizabeth the Golden Age, and those costumes were 10 times as intense to wear. But I still had so many layers on. Sometimes I would be like, Janet, the costume designer, I'd be like, Janet, do you think I could just take off one of my skirts? And she's like, no, we need them for the shape, because it was all about creating shape.
Right.
I was like, okay, I'll be fine.
What do you, as far as you know, sold Jane on you? What performance had done it? As far as she must have been pretty persuaded by one in particular, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually, but I think it was my audition that convinced her to cast me in the role. I know I was the very first person, and then I don't know. I think she auditioned worldwide. I'm not sure how many.
But she never particularly mentioned anything that you had done previously as being, penetrating, moving, especially.
I mean, she mentioned things, but I can't remember one being But you know, the producer of Bright Star, Jen Chapman, was also the producer of Somersault, which was, my first lead role in a feature film, and was an important film for me and one that I'm really proud of. And so I think a lot of me auditioning for Jane had to do with Jan.
Yeah, I feel stupid because I haven't seen that film. I'm sorry.
That's all right, don't worry.
Can I get it on DVD?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I haven't seen that. It was theatrical here?
It was, but very few theatres.
I have to. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
No, you should. I think
it.
you would like it. I think you would like it. I'm definitely proud of it. It's one of the ones that was most enjoyable for me to make too, just in regards to the experience of everyone, working on it, and everyone that I worked with, and the character and the story.
Can you tell me if you're in the midst of making something new or something that we haven't seen that I can report about?
I'm doing a film called Sucker Punch right now. Zack Snyder's directing it. He did 300 and The Watchmen. It's his first concept film, so it's kind of crazy because he has a crazy mind.
And it's going to look like 300? Is it going to be?
It's going to. There'll be some pretty tricky stuff in there. Yeah. And
as we speak, that's being made.
It's being made. Yeah. I started working on it in June. We had 3 months prep, where I learned how to wield a sword, how to use different guns, martial arts, like all this crazy fight choreography. And, but even though there's moments of action in it, the whole film isn't an action film. The film is more like a fantasy film, and the storyline is 5 girls who try to escape a cycle in the 60s, and the story is linear, but it kind of shifts in and out of different worlds. It's almost like a dream sometimes, someone's vision of.
It will be out in the summer of 10?
I think that it's going to be out in 2011.
11? Because of all the post-production.
CGI, yeah.
Is there anything following that?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. Haven't figured that out yet.
Okay. Well, it's been delightful.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to have met you.
Yeah, you too.
And I'm definitely going to see that film.
Somersault,
sorry.
That's all right.
Not a good day for me in that regard. But thank you very much for your time.
No worries, thank you.
Okay.
Take care.